Good day. This is Dr. Richard Gonzalez, your learning partner. For this module, let's have a conversation about using classroom data. The objective of this module is for us to learn and appreciate the use of data when making classroom related decisions that can be integrated into your face to face or online learning. So for this video, I will share some highlights of what the module will offer. Any data or information that we gather from our students in the classroom, either formal or informal assessment data, provides significant insight into students' progress, curriculum effectiveness, and teaching strategies. When discussing data, it is essential to note that schools and teachers gather several types of data that are used in several ways. Data can be used to inform and improve classroom and teaching. Teacher-made tests, standardized tests, school-wide tests, grade-level data, and individual assessments give teachers and schools information and student performance in separate cases. And summative and formative assessments give teachers feedback on classroom instruction. Individual teachers, departments, and professional learning teams can use each of these data sets to inform and improve classroom teaching. So, when do we use classroom data? The answer is simple. The sooner we use classroom data, the better for teachers and students. Teachers must capitalize on the evidence about student learning that is generated in their classrooms daily. They must collect and use this data to increase student learning and improve teaching. Effective feedback is an excellent way for teachers to use collected data to improve student learning. Teachers can generate more opportunities for creating evidence or generating evidence about what their students have and have not learned and provide effective feedback to students. Results from almost all classroom data assessment and assessments can greatly benefit students and teachers because they provide directions on how to adjust and revise instruction and learning process. Hence, it is essential to maximize the power of data and its effect on learning and teaching. So, how do you use classroom data to drive instruction? We give our students many assessments and tests to see their learning and how they will do in standardized assessments, for example. So, we often show that results in graphs, numbers, and charts to help us make decision. So, here are some helpful tips for analyzing data. First, you can start by looking at the areas where your class missed many questions in a test. Then drill down to the 5 objectives or standards with the lowest percentages. Then plan entire class lessons on those concepts or topics. Second, once you have reviewed the overall data, it's time to focus on individual students. Look at the objectives, lessons, or standards you have taught and see which students missed those questions. Then form small learning groups based on the data for more guided instruction. While these data from classrooms give us valuable data or information, they may not perfectly reflect your students' abilities. Since you have been with your students since the first day of classes, you know what they can and cannot do. If the score of your students does not match with what you see on a daily basis, use your best judgment to decide what groups and learning interventions they need. Fourth, if your students' results don't match with what you expect, you should have other data to prove where they are with your course objectives or standards. That means you have to collect additional data regularly. Lastly, share the results with your students. Once you have analyzed the data, share it with your students. Then, together, look at the areas they can improve. You can also set goals together and plan how to achieve those goals. After all, we all know that all students are excited to see their growth and are determined to meet their goals. Hopefully, these tips will help you maximize your classroom data. What else do we need to know about using classroom data? Data from the classroom give school administrators, teachers, and parents a global view of our students. The daily information and data we gather in our classroom allow us to understand our students' significant learning gaps. While administrators use classroom data to address curricular and teaching insufficiency, teachers can use knowledge gap information to identify subjects or concepts where they might need to devote additional teaching time and create individual assessments. Of course, further data analysis can help teachers anticipate skills gap, helping them sort their classes in a way that enhance individualized student learning, especially in an online learning modality. Please note that a set of data we gather from each student reveals each student's need. Hence, this data gives teachers a deep understanding of their teachers' personalities and abilities and even insight into their learning style. This also allows broader curriculum goals to be modified to reflect the individual needs of students and the overall class portrait that teacher has uncovered. As every teacher knows, classes have unique needs and personalities that significantly influence course design and teaching practices. Now, let's talk about formative and summative assessment. For more discussion on this, you may want to check on my YouTube channel, ChaSpeaks. Formative assessment provide immediate feedback on teaching and learning. Perhaps in online learning and even face-to-face, teachers' most crucial classroom data, teachers' critical classroom data is collected through formative assessment. These are informal, low-stakes assessments using quizzes and simple tasks to measure learning immediately after lectures or classroom activities. Information gleaned from this process allows a quick modification to the next class plan and identifies learning gaps long before they appear in summative assessment or become issues in the entire learning process. Note that formative assessments are given during an instructional process. Summative classroom data catch learning roadblocks. Summative assessments are given at the end of an instructional program or a course. For teachers, the frequently used measure of student learning is summative assessments like grades on individual assignments, performance tasks, essays, and periodic or final exams. The summative assessment data provide information about the particular function and classroom performance and can be particularly good for helping teachers to identify learning roadblocks or the overall curriculum dysfunction. The summative assessment also informs curriculum and instruction. In an entire class, or if an entire class does poorly, though, teachers may wish to re-examine their teaching process to see if the students got results from a failure to connect students with the learning material. This should motivate teachers to consider revisiting or restructuring class materials or teaching strategies to ensure learning goals are met. These issues can be brought to school and academic teams' discussion or professional teaching learning communities to facilitate a non-judgmental conversation about improving classroom practice. As a final thought, teachers have a wealth of classroom data at their disposal thanks to our current assessment culture and online programs. Some of the valuable data is often gathered by teachers themselves during a lesson or unit. All forms of student data are helpful when you use them properly. These and many more are the topics to be covered in the Using Classroom Data module. Thank you, and for more instructional videos and teaching and learning and assessment, please watch and subscribe to my YouTube channel, ChaSpeaks. Maraming salamat po.